All right, welcome back to the Prima Law Podcast. I'm your host, attorney James Betzel, and today we're talking about birthright citizenship. Now, this is one of the most overreaching executive orders I have ever seen because it seeks to rewrite the Constitution with the stroke of the president's pen, which, if you've ever been to law school or taken a constitutional law class or a basic civil rights class, or if you ever took the test to become a U.S. citizen, you know that the president can't rewrite the Constitution by himself. So we'll be diving into that, the protections that exist, and rest assured there's already 24 different states that have sued the president on this. That's going to end up in the Supreme Court. And you know what? The Supreme Court, sometimes they surprise us with a crazy ruling, but pretty much every lawyer in the country knows that this is an overreach. So we'll see how that goes. But I want to remind you, we're brought to you by three companies: Prima Law, which is our immigration case management software for immigration lawyers and immigration professionals. We have all the predefined case types, auto-filling forms, e-filing, client portal, electronic payments, everything you need to run an efficient and profitable practice. Find a free trial at prima.law. We're also brought to you by Visa Feliz. So if you need an immigration lawyer and you need a great immigration lawyer, I've handled even the most difficult cases. So contact us at 833-VISA-FELIZ or on our website, visafeliz.com, and schedule the consult, and we'll take care of you. Also, Bella Legal Assistance. Now, these are trained immigration paralegals who are ready to serve immigration attorneys. So we've trained them in our firm. They know all about immigration law, and they're ready to start work for you on day one. Find more information at bella.legal. Let's start the show.
All right, folks. We're diving into some pretty murky legal waters today.
Yeah, we are.
We're taking a Prima Law look at President Trump's executive order, and
this one's a doozy.
It really is attempting to end birthright citizenship.
Yeah.
So, to break this down, we've got a CNN article outlining legal challenges to the order and the text of the actual executive order itself.
Right.
So get ready for some serious legal unpacking.
Absolutely.
All right, let's jump right in.
Okay.
14th Amendment.
Yeah.
This is the heart of the matter, right?
It is the crux of the issue.
All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States.
Exactly.
So on the surface, it seems pretty straightforward.
Right.
Born in the U.S., you're a citizen.
Well,
but this executive order is trying to say...
It's trying to throw a wrench into the whole thing.
Big time.
Yeah, it really is. To understand the audacity of this move, you have to understand the historical context.
Okay.
This amendment was crafted to overturn the Dred Scott decision.
Right. And guarantee citizenship to formerly enslaved people.
Wow, what a monumental shift in American history.
It was a huge turning point.
To be born in the United States, you know, the land of the free, and be denied citizenship.
Imagine that.
Just incredible.
It's a stark reminder of how fragile rights can be. That phrase there, subject to the jurisdiction thereof, meant at the time not owing allegiance to any foreign power.
Okay.
So essentially, if you were born here and you weren't loyal to another country, you were a citizen.
And the Supreme Court has upheld this interpretation of the 14th Amendment right.
They have. Which makes this executive order all the more perplexing.
Yeah. So walk me through this executive order. What exactly is President Trump trying to do here?
So he's targeting children born to parents who are unlawfully present in the U.S.
Okay.
Or in situations where the mother is temporarily in the U.S. and the father isn't a citizen. And he's basically saying these children, even though they're born on U.S. soil, don't fall under U.S. jurisdiction. So he's reinterpreting subject to the jurisdiction thereof.
Exactly. He's trying to reinterpret that clause to exclude these children.
Okay.
And the order goes even further.
Yeah.
It prohibits federal agencies from issuing documents that would recognize these children's citizenship.
So he's basically trying to unilaterally change the meaning of the 14th Amendment.
He's trying to...
Pretty bold move.
Extremely bold, and some might say risky.
Yeah. What are the chances it actually succeeds?
Legally speaking,
yeah,
the odds are slim.
Okay.
However, the timing of this order is interesting.
Okay.
It was signed mere hours after his second term inauguration.
Really just hours.
Hours.
What does that tell us about his priorities?
Well, it certainly suggests this issue is high on his agenda.
Yeah.
Enough to prioritize it right out of the gate.
I bet there was some backlash to this.
Oh, yeah. Immediate and fierce.
Okay, so tell me about the backlash.
Well, 24 Democratic-led states and cities filed lawsuits, along with organizations like the ACLU and various immigration rights groups.
So a lot of people are not happy about this.
Not at all.
What are the legal arguments they're bringing to the table?
So the primary argument is that the order violates the 14th Amendment.
Straight up.
Straight up. They're also pointing out the burden this could place on states.
Okay.
States would suddenly be responsible for providing services for a large number of non-citizen children.
So they're hitting hard on the potential consequences.
Absolutely. Both legally and practically.
Painting a picture of chaos.
Potentially.
All right, so we're going to have to stop there for now.
Okay.
But tune in next time, folks, because we're going to dive deeper into the potential consequences of this executive order.
Definitely a lot more to uncover.
Absolutely.
It's going to be good. So where were we? Oh, yeah, the legal challenges and potential consequences.
Right. So what happens next? Where do we go from here with all this?
Well, we can expect the usual legal back and forth.
Okay.
Lower court rulings, appeals, and eventually,
The big one.
yeah, it could land in the lap of the Supreme Court. Oh,
A Supreme Court showdown. That's when things could really get interesting.
definitely.
You mentioned earlier that the court has upheld birthright citizenship before.
Great.
So doesn't that mean this executive order is basically doomed?
Not necessarily. You see, the composition of the court has shifted in recent years.
You're talking about the new justices appointed by President Trump.
Exactly, and their ideological leanings could influence how they rule on this case.
Even with a seemingly straightforward amendment, like the 14th.
Even then, the Supreme Court has surprised us before.
Okay, so let's play this out for a second.
Okay.
What if the Supreme Court actually upholds President Trump's executive order?
Well, that would send a pretty strong message.
About what?
That the executive branch has more power to interpret the Constitution than we thought.
So it could set a precedent for future presidents to challenge other established laws.
Potentially, yeah, it could weaken the balance of power.
Wow, that's a scary thought.
It is.
Okay, so what about the opposite scenario? What if the courts strike down the order?
Well, then it would reaffirm the importance of the 14th Amendment.
Okay.
And the principle of birthright citizenship. It would be a victory for inclusion.
So kind of a check on executive power?
Exactly. A reminder that the Constitution is the supreme law of the land, not the whims of one president.
So no matter what, this case is going to have a huge impact.
Absolutely. A landmark case that could reshape our understanding of citizenship.
And presidential authority.
And the very fabric of our democracy, but we can't forget.
What's that?
This isn't just a theoretical debate.
Right.
There are real lives hanging in the balance.
We can't lose sight of the human cost.
Exactly.
We talked about the possibility of these children becoming stateless. But I want to dig a little deeper into what that actually means.
Sure.
It's a concept I think a lot of people don't fully grasp.
It's a heavy issue. Statelessness basically means a person isn't recognized as a citizen by any country.
So they're in limbo, no country to call their own.
Exactly. And the consequences are pretty dire.
Like?
Well, imagine not being able to access basic services like education or healthcare.
That's awful.
Or imagine being unable to travel freely, work legally, even open a bank account.
Wow. It's hard to wrap your head around that.
It is.
And for these children who are born here, it's like their whole world is being ripped away.
It's a lot for anyone to handle, especially children. The emotional toll on these families is immense.
I bet.
Living with constant fear of separation, deportation,
Yeah.
an uncertain future for their children.
It's a humanitarian crisis unfolding right in front of us.
It is.
So we've talked about the consequences for these families.
Right.
But let's zoom out a bit.
Okay.
What does it say about us as a country if we deny citizenship to children born on U.S. soil?
Well, it raises some tough questions about our values.
About what?
About whether we truly embrace inclusivity and diversity, or whether we turn our backs on those we deem undesirable.
Goes back to the heart of the 14th Amendment, doesn't it?
The 14th Amendment was designed to ensure that everyone born in the U.S. has an equal opportunity.
Regardless of their parents' status.
Exactly. And to challenge that principle is to challenge the very fabric of what America stands for.
So we're not just talking about legal technicalities here.
No, we're not.
We're talking about the soul of America.
Exactly. And we're talking about confronting the legacies of slavery and discrimination that still linger today.
That's powerful. We've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
We've talked about the legal arguments, the potential outcomes, the human cost. But where do we go from here? What does all of this mean for the future of citizenship in America? Feels like we're standing at the edge of a cliff.
Yeah, kind of crossroads for American citizenship.
It really does. And, you've said that legal experts are skeptical.
Oh, yeah.
About this executive order being constitutional.
You don't think it'll hold up.
But the Supreme Court, they've surprised us before.
They have. Predicting what the Supreme Court will do is like trying to predict the weather. There are patterns you can look at. Yeah. There's precedent you can try to analyze.
Right.
But ultimately, it's unpredictable.
So we're left with this big question mark. What if the Supreme Court sides with President Trump?
It'd be a huge shift.
What would that mean for birthright citizenship going forward?
Well, it'd be a big departure from how we've always interpreted the 14th Amendment.
Yeah.
It could open the door for more challenges to birthright citizenship in the future.
Based on other things besides parental status.
Exactly. Who knows what could be next?
That's kind of scary.
Yeah, it is a little unsettling.
What about the immediate impact, though? The kids who are already here, born in the U.S.
Right.
What happens if their citizenship is revoked?
That's where the human cost really hits you.
Yeah.
These children did nothing wrong,
right.
And suddenly they're in this legal limbo.
They lose the rights they've always had.
Exactly. We talked about statelessness.
Yeah, but what does that actually look like?
I mean, imagine not being able to go to school, not being able to see a doctor when you're sick.
Yeah.
Maybe you can't get a job.
Right.
You can't travel. You can't even open a bank account.
It's like being trapped.
It is. It's a terrible situation, and their families are torn apart.
Deportation, all that.
Exactly. It creates a whole generation of people who are pushed to the margins of society.
It's like we're talking about two different Americas.
Yeah. You've got one that's inclusive and welcoming,
Mm-hmm.
and then you've got one that's built on fear and exclusion.
It's a battle for the soul of America.
You got this case forces us to ask ourselves, who are we as a nation?
Mm-hmm.
What do we really stand for? What are our values?
So where do we go from here?
Well, we have to stay informed, educate ourselves.
Yeah.
Don't just skim the headlines or believe everything you see on social media.
Right.
Dig deeper, read legal analyses, listen to different perspectives.
Talk to each other.
Exactly. Have those difficult conversations with friends, family, colleagues.
And even if you don't agree.
Even if you don't agree, because that's how we bridge the divides.
And don't forget, your voice matters.
Absolutely. Contact your elected officials, write letters to the editor, make your voice heard.
We're not just bystanders here.
We're not. We have a responsibility to engage in these issues.
The future depends on it.
It really does. This case reminds us that democracy requires an informed and engaged citizenry.
That's a powerful message, folks.
It is.
This Prima Law look has been a real journey into a complex and contentious issue.
It has.
One that could change the face of America.
No doubt about it.
So to our listeners, we urge you, stay informed, stay engaged, and keep exploring this topic.
Keep asking those tough questions.
Because the future of American citizenship, it's in our hands.
Okay, well, there you have it. That's our episode for today. Thank you for joining us. And as always, we are brought to you by our three companies. First, Prima.Law, which is immigration case management software. If you're an immigration attorney or immigration professional, you need this software to stay on top of your cases, to automate your processes, and to keep your clients happy and make them successful. You can find a free trial at Prima.Law. That's our website, Prima.Law. The other company is Bella Legal Assistance. You can find more information about that at Bella.Legal. We have pre-trained a number of immigration paralegals to serve in legal offices throughout the United States. So if you're an immigration attorney and you're maybe a little short-staffed, you need to catch up, maybe one of your key staff just left, we can help you fill that void with individuals who are bilingual in English and Spanish and are trained, ready to start work on day one. And lastly, if you're an immigrant or you need immigration services, I have an immigration law firm. I've been an immigration attorney for over 15 years, and we can help you with your case. You can find more information on that at visafeliz.com. It's the Betzold Law Firm. Also, 1-833-VISA-FELIZ. Thank you for joining us. He'd risked it all. Hercules smiled, their words in vain. He'd crossed the storm, endured the pain. A journey long through paths unknown. A boy, a dream, a heart alone. Through stars and moon, where shadows dart, he followed light within his heart. Grateful feet on roads unkind. Freedom's call stayed on his mind. Hercules stands,
his story told, a boy who braved the dark and cold, through danger's grip,